Welcome to day 3 of our daily Bible devotions. This week, we're talking about the implications of theism. And we digressed a little bit yesterday when we talked about law of non-contradiction because it's important in moving further into what we're talking about. The law of non-contradiction is a very important law in logic so that we would not put two things that are contradictory together thinking that it's okay because it's not. Okay, now that we've established that the law of non-contradiction says that two things that are mutually exclusive, meaning contradictory, cannot be put together, now we have to understand theisms and those that are non-theisms. What is theism? Theism is the technical term, so to speak, for belief in God. It's from the word theos, means God, and ism means belief. So belief in God is theism. If theism is true, if God exists, therefore all non-theisms are false. That's clear. Based on the law of non-contradiction, if theism is true, all non-theisms are false. What are the non-theisms? Let me clarify first that typically when we talk about theism, people have this notion that there are different kinds of theism. There's monotheism, there's polytheism, there's even pantheism. When we use the term theism, we're only referring to monotheism or the belief in one God. We're not referring to polytheism or pantheism. Everything else, if we're only referring to monotheism as the theism, then everything else we are declaring by argument, by reason, as false. Now, it seems like a big statement, a huge statement to say that everything else is false. But again, this is the law of logic. This is the law of non-contradiction. If one is saying that there's only one God, if everything else contradicts the statement that there's only one God, then only one of them is true. Either this or this or this or this, but they can't all be true. They can't be all true. I know it's a little bit difficult to consider given the culture that we have now. We are now pressured to just accept everything. Let me put forward this important statement. Listen to this. Understanding and respect does not mean agreement. You can understand and respect one belief, but that does not mean that you have to agree. I may understand, I may sympathize, I may respect the position of one person with regards to an issue, but I am not compelled to agree with that person. I can understand and respect and sympathize without agreeing. It's different. The flip side is true. If I disagree with one person, that does not mean that I don't understand and I disrespect. Disagreement does not necessarily mean disrespect. Because this culture right now tells you that when you disagree with me, you are disrespecting me. When you disagree with me, you don't understand me. But what if you totally understand and totally respect another person, but you just can't seem to agree? Now, that's one thing that you really need to consider. I really want you to think about that. Now, let's go back to the statement. Logically, if theism is true, then all non-theisms are false. Why do we say that theism only means monotheism? Listen to this. When we say that theism is true and all non-theisms are false, we are not saying that all the other worldview, all the other belief, they don't have any element of truth in them. They may have elements of truth, but we're talking about their fundamental, their core belief. The core belief of theism is there's only one God. Core belief of others is either there's no God or there's many God or everyone is God, things like that. This statement that there's only one God, while it may share some similarities in practices, even though there are some similarities at the very core, they're different. And that's another thing I need to clarify. Because we think the mainstream cultural thinking or mainstream cultural thought is that all religions are the same. They are basically the same, and their differences are very, very slight. If they differ, slight. Maybe they're just superficial. The belief of the culture is that all religion are the same, and they're only different superficially, like on top. The reverse is true. If there are similarities, it's only on top. It's only superficial. They're superficially similar. But fundamentally, at their core, all this worldview, all this religion and philosophies, they're different. That's why it's important to understand the law of non-contradiction so that when you look at this worldview, you can look at all of them. You can understand all of them. I'm saying we must understand all of them. You must hear, you must listen, you must understand, you must respect. But at the end of the day, you can only agree to one. When you agree to all of them, you betray all of them. Because all of this worldview, they want your loyalty. They want your commitment. In order to be honest, in order to be sincere, in order to be true, you can respect everything else. You can understand everything else. But you only commit, you only agree, you only follow one.